right?
Yeah, we're going to.
Damon, good morning to you. Good afternoon to everybody else. How are you?
I'm doing great and ready to go, Curt.
All right, let's rock and roll. So, hey, we're talking, man, dude. Like, I get a little choked up when I introduce this one person. Not just you, Damon, but the other person on stage here, right? So, and I'm getting double choked up because Matthew's here today. But Chris Harrington's in the house. Chris, happy Monday. How are you?
Oh, it's always so good to be with you guys. Thanks for having me again on the show. It's so great to be here with both of you and Matthew, and this is going to be fun.
Man, I don't like Damon. We got to talk to Chris because she needs to be a better judge of character coming on the show as much as
Definitely.
she does. So, all right, so we need to work on that. So Matthew Chanella is in the house. Matthew, how are you, dude? What's going on?
I'm doing good, Curt. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited to dish a little. I know we're previewing our Industrial Marketing Summit panel, so I'm excited to go to do this. I talk about creating a friction-free buying experience all the time with clients, so definitely a well-worn path for me. So.
Hey, that is awesome. And hey, let's do a little musical chairs. How about, I'm throwing Chris in the middle. We got Nelson in the house. We got Matthew here. Dame, we got the whole gang is here.
Nice.
Nelson, happy Monday. How are you, dude?
Hey, doing outstanding. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. All right, so let's go around the horn. Chris, you've been on the show a few times. You know the routine, right? So I'm going to ask a question. You know what? I'm going to play Jeopardy, Chris. I'm going to play a little Jeopardy. So I'm going to give the answer. And so then, okay, so if I say Grandma Milwaukee and Grandma to the North, and I'm going to come to Matthew because Nelson, if I say Nelson Brutton the third, because you're the fourth, but if I say the answer is Nelson Brutton the third, do you know what the question is?
No.
You know what the question is, right?
I know what it is.
So Matthew, I'm coming at you with the question. I've already asked these guys. Chris, what is it?
Who are your favorite people, or who's your favorite person?
When you were a little guy growing up, who was your hero? Who did you look up to? When I've asked Chris Harrington that, it is Grandma Milwaukee and Grandma to the North. When I asked Nelson Brutton the fourth, he said it was Nelson Brutton the third.
Yes.
So Matthew, my question to you is, when you were a little guy growing up, who was your hero?
It was my great-grandmother, Antoinette Serro.
Great-grandmother.
Great-grandmother, yeah. She lived until I was 21 years old.
Wow.
96. So that's my hero. The kindest, nicest person, the first generation of my family to immigrate to the U.S. from Italy. That's my favorite.
Very cool.
All right, dude, you got it. Curious minds are dying to know. Give us a little insight on Antoinette.
Oh, well, first off, she went by Etta, by the way. So I'll call her Etta. So she came from Italy, from Abruzzo, which is where my family was from in Italy. And she met my great grandfather here, who also immigrated from Italy, Armand. My great grandfather was a prolific musician. He was a trombonist and a baritone player and a conductor for the New Orleans, Indianapolis, and eventually National Symphony Orchestra. He actually has a caricature comic of him that was featured in the Washington Post in the early 1970s. He did not speak any English until he was in his late teens, and basically was a self-taught musician, and that's how he ended up making a living in the U.S. My great-grandmother was a prolific oil painter. I own about 11 of her paintings in my house. So yeah, wow. Those are my two favorite people in the world. They both lived till their mid-90s. I actually wrote and delivered the eulogy at my great-grandfather's funeral.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, Nelson, tell me you're not ready to shed a tear on that one, dude. Was
that
awesome? What's your grandfather's name, Matthew?
Armand.
Man, all right, great. Did you? So, question for you: did you inherit any of this creative, artistic, musical?
Oh yeah, I played trombone for a very long time. Still know my scales.
Awesome. All right. Well, all right, man. I love that question. Love the answers. All right, let's go around the horn. We're going to do intros. So I've got Chris Harrington in the house, guys. Happy Monday. Drop us a note. Let us know that you're out there. Also, connect with these wonderful human beings on LinkedIn. Check out their websites. Tons of information going on here. I have the honor and blessing. I'm going to share the stage with this crew on Friday at the Industrial Marketing Summit, and we're going to be talking about frictionless buying experiences, Chris, CEO extraordinaire, co-founder of Gen Alpha Technologies. Give us a little insight. Who is Gen Alpha? How are you making the world a better place?
Yeah, so we are an e-commerce software provider for equipment, machinery, and parts manufacturers and distributors. So very unique niche. We niche down till it hurts, taking Curt Anderson's advice. And this is the group that we specifically target to support them in reducing their friction with their customers.
Love it. All right. And we're going to dive deep, Chris. Great background. Again, you repeat offender on our show, dear close friend. Can't wait to be on stage with you this week. Nelson, let's get you in the party here, my friend, coming to us from the great state of Florida. Share a little bit about manufacturing chats. What is manufacturing chats, and how are you making the world a better place?
Absolutely. So for the past 20 years, we've been working with industrial companies, manufacturers, and helping them engage their website visitors. We offer a human live chat experience on their websites. If they're already doing marketing and driving traffic, then, it's all about catering to people's preferences. And a lot of people nowadays prefer chat as their communication option. So that's what we've been doing for 20 years, and can't wait to join the stage with you all on Friday and talk more in detail about all this.
Awesome. Love it. Matthew, let's come over to you, my friend. And what a great man. If you guys missed it, you need to go back and catch who his heroes are. Absolutely love that story. Refine Labs, please share with us, what is Refine Labs? How are you and your team making the world a better place?
Yeah, so Refine Labs is a B2B demand gen agency for mid-sized SaaS companies. We run mostly a lot of advertising strategies for our clients, but we also do a lot of work around conversion rate optimization, messaging, positioning, helping improve the website experience as well in order to kind of facilitate the effectiveness of your advertising. We're actually going through a bit of a metamorphosis as well as a company. We're starting to get a little bit more into incrementality testing and things like that with our clients that are more in the D2C space. Prior to working for Refine Labs, because I'm sure everyone's wondering, what is this guy doing here if he works in software? I worked for the first 5 years. I worked for the first 6 years of my career in construction as a marketing manager, and then for 5 years for a mid-market multinational welding OEM called Abacor Binzel, where I was the North American marketing director. And then where we sold handheld and robotic welding periphery, as also laser optics, working with a lot of tier 1 automotive manufacturers, as well as heavy equipment industrial. We have big clients like Ford, Tesla, General Motors, John Deere. We work with all those guys very closely. And then after that, I worked for Gorilla 76, who's one of the co-hosts of the Industrial Marketing Summit. So Joe and John were so kind as to invite me to the show, or to the event. And was their strategy director at Gorilla for almost 2 years before moving on to Refine Labs. So that's basically my professional experience there in a nutshell.
Oh, that's awesome. And so you filled in some blanks, because I didn't realize that Refine Labs, that you focus exclusively on SaaS companies.
Yeah, I do have a couple. I do have one client in the medical device space that we work with. Nice. So I'm a little bit. So I have 1 or 2 clients here or there that I do work in hard goods with, but for the most part, it is software. Yes.
Yep. And Gorilla 76 alumni. So that is absolutely wonderful. So Chris, everybody that's catching us today, they have to come to Austin, right? They have to be there. That's right. We don't want to give too much away of our secret sauce today. So what we decided, Damon, as a panel, we're just going to talk sports. So we're just going to talk about, Chris, what do you want to talk a little hoops today? I'm just kidding. So we won't give away secret sauce. But I consider you the digital self-serve expert extraordinaire. Let's just kind of scratch the surface a little bit. When you say frictionless, what are some things that you see that people could be doing better or improving on? What are some thoughts here?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is a bit of research that McKinsey has done in the past, and that is related to, when buyers buy, they call it the rule of thirds, right? So they want remote interaction, they want self-service interaction, and they want in-person interaction. And their advice to people is that you need to be doing that in thirds, a third, a third, a third. And, I think that what I've found is that most organizations do not look at their buyer journey to uncover where there are challenges. And I think that's the biggest thing that ends up causing friction is they simply don't even step into their buyer's shoes, and which is very easy for us today because most organizations have a customer service department, they have a technical service department, right? They have sales teams, and these people are having interactions with their customers. And, customers want first an online self-service option for doing business with companies. That's a rule of the third. So what we're missing for many organizations today is even having the availability of that channel online. So, just to really basically summarize, McKinsey's saying, this is what people want, this is what they're doing. And we have a big portion of manufacturers and distributors out there who aren't even offering 1/3 of what the way in which people want to do business. And we all know that the younger buyer has stepped into a role at a significant number. It's something like more than 60% of all purchasers today in the B2B space are millennials or younger. And they are walking around with smartphones, and they are bringing these smartphones into their workplace, and they want an easy way to do business with you. And if we're not using this, if we don't have good website practices, we don't have online self-service, we're missing opportunities to either attract new customers or service our customers that we're doing business with today. So that would just be an overall view of kind of what's going on, especially in the space that I serve.
No longer a nice to have, it is an absolute must to have.
Yep.
So now, Matthew, I'm going to go out of order because I threw the hero question at you. So I know, Damon, I don't know if you knew this, how our batting order for Friday is we're going by hair. So we're going by, that's why I'm the moderator.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even be on stage, especially like, look at Matthew, look at the head of hair on that guy. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So Nelson, I'm good. So we're going a little out of order today. Nelson, let's go here again. I don't want to ruin any secret sauce for Friday. Dude, totally admire you. You are like a fierce networker. Had the honor and privilege meeting you in person last year at the IMS. Like, dude, you are like all over the place, and you are so passionate about the solution that you deliver. I'm hitting you with this. Talk to me as an entrepreneur a little bit. What, you're an agency converted into, you created your own proprietary solution. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit, like, why are you so passionate about manufacturing chats and the solution that you provide?
Sure. Happy to. So 22 years ago, we started as a web design firm. Then we added SEO, pay-per-click, email marketing, all the other digital services to drive traffic to the website. Mm-hmm. And we learned quickly that, hey, we got to start converting these people at a higher rate that are getting to the website. So we built our live chat infrastructure about 20 years ago. And then we had a nice long run where we were doing kind of a partner program of all those solutions companies. We'd be the digital marketing agency on retainer. And about 8 years ago, when social media and content creation and content marketing it went from a nice to have to a necessity, we kind of looked at ourselves and said, we don't really want to learn a new skill set and add a whole new team of experts to do the content creation, the content strategy, all the video that's necessary now to really have a robust digital strategy. So instead of expanding our services and becoming a more robust agency, we went the other way. And, it really came from, Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, the hedgehog concept. We asked ourselves, who are our favorite companies, our customers that we like to work with? And the answer over and over was manufacturers, industrial companies. Those were our favorite people to work with. And then we said, all right, well, what services do we deliver to them that get the consistent results, that has immediate results, that we have the highest retention rate with in our business? And it was our live chat solution. So we made a decision consciously together that we're going to create a new brand called Manufacturing Chats. We were going to deliver our best service to our best customers and really attack that market. And it was a struggle. It was a pivot because there was some people on board that weren't with that. And, a lot of entrepreneurial challenges came along with, making a big shift after, 15, 16 years. But, looking back now, it was certainly worth it because we have a more streamlined business. We're working with all of our favorite types of customers in the manufacturing and industrial space. And yeah, that's the entrepreneurial story about manufacturing chats.
Dude, I tell you, such a gutsy move, man. A lot of sleepless nights, or like, how was that? Can you take yourself back? Like, how was that?
There was a couple years of transition where we had to kind of rebound, build systems in place for the new business. But 2 years is kind of a short span in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, good for you. Well, God bless you, man. Thank you. Very inspiring. So anybody out there, you're thinking about taking a pivot either with your business, and Chris, I'm going to come back to you in a minute because I want to talk about your corporate career, how you transitioned into entrepreneurship. Matthew, let's come your way, my friend. Heavy duty B2B manufacturing. Why'd you bring your skill set? You could be in healthcare, you could be in finance, you could be in other industries. Why are you so passionate about the B2B space?
Man, I've just been so endlessly fascinated about what connects people to products at the end of the day. Like Chris was talking a lot about, understanding your buyer's journey a little bit. And I think one of the things that marketing especially brings to the table in that regard is like this incredible amount of curiosity about the people who come and show interest in a company and figuring out kind of how that happens. Like, I remember one of the first things I did when I worked for the welding company, and I was just so brand new in the B2B space for marketing, and I didn't know what I didn't know. And like within the first 2 weeks, I surveyed my entire customer list and was like, hey, why do you guys even buy from us in the first place? Like, I just want to know what you value about working with a company like Binzel. And I just remember just being floored at some of the responses, figuring out like how people found out about us or what kept them coming back. And, we talk a lot about building a frictionless buying experience. I think a lot of it is understanding how does your total addressable market like to buy? And I mean, I think the first way you try to validate that is is by surveying them and just asking them. They'll tell you if you ask them, and then you can kind of build your experience around that and make those adjustments. And it's a fluid and iterative process where you're always trying to kind of find discovery around that. But I just remember being very fascinated about what brought people into products. And then I think marketing in the B2B space can be a bit of a redheaded stepchild, right? Like we're very much kind of a four funnel kind of business, right? You have sales, you have marketing, you have partnerships, which in manufacturing would include distributors and dealers, and then you have like events, right? So you have these kind of all these funnels that you sort of look at through it, but in reality, like marketing should be looking at things from the top line of the business all the way down to the little carve out of land that they're supposed to own. And so for me, it's just been this endless learning process of trying to figure out how to do that better, how to look at things through unit economics, conversion rates, customer acquisition cost and lifetime value, and all those things. And I find myself just endlessly fascinated by it and consistently trying to make myself uncomfortable to kind of reach other levels of my career and my knowledge.
Well, absolutely love it. So speaking of the word uncomfortable, Damon, let's pull Chris back in. So Chris, let me take you back. So you had an illustrious corporate career, I believe, all over the world and just really crushing it. How did you decide to get so uncomfortable? And like, how does somebody go from like this really, I'm gonna say cushy, but you could have stayed corporate and had this wonderful career, if I understood correctly. But you take the leap of faith and go into e-commerce, which by e-commerce in itself is creating that frictionless experience. Mm-hmm. What drove you and your team, the founders of Gen Alpha? Take us through that your stage, kind of like what Nelson just shared when you guys launched Gen Alpha.
Yeah, I think all of us worked in manufacturing and we sold equipment and parts, and we were in the mining industry. The mining industry is really highly profitable for those miners that are operating large pieces of equipment. So the moment a piece of equipment goes down, it needs to get back up and running because it can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars every hour that machine isn't operational. So we were always trying to improve our process of how do we meet the needs of our customers prior to that machine ever going down, but also when that machine goes down, how do we make sure that they're fully supported and we get them up and running as quickly as possible? And we had this vision inside our manufacturing organization to utilize digital technologies to make that happen. And this was relatively new when digital was starting to take off, and you could convert a paper catalog into an online catalog, and you could make it easy for customers to identify the right parts. Because one of the challenges we had was when a piece of equipment left the factory, the information we gave the customer usually became obsolete or outdated by the time that machine went to work, because part numbers change, product upgrades take place, there's obsolescence. And this is true for many companies and many parts of, it doesn't, not just an equipment manufacturer. So how could we make sure that when our customers needed information, it was available to them wherever they happen to be? And that really set us off for trying to come up with that solution. We understood that e-commerce and interactive parts manuals could be the way to go. And we stopped to think about, as a founding team, could we solve this problem for more companies than just the company we were working in? And we agreed, yes. So we went to work on building our first pilot of our digital commerce site, which included an interactive parts manual, which is really just repurposing engineering bills of materials, 2D, 3D drawings, and we made it easy. And that, when we got our first customer, we folded into the business, and then the business has been growing since then. So, today we're owned by private equity, but it was really believing in your solution for solving the problem. And when you believe it so strongly that this is in fact going to be what customers have been waiting for, you just go after it and you put everything behind it. And that's what we did.
Yeah. And your solution, I think we've seen it, and if people haven't seen it before, they definitely need to go look at a Gen Alpha, because if you're making equipment, being able to use the visuals like you do with the actual 3D design data and drill down, like you said, especially I have to imagine in the mining industry when you're building highly customized equipment for each person, right? Because you're buying $1 million or $5 million, multi-million-dollar piece of equipment, you get kind of what you need or what the options you think. But being able to drill down to that as a customer in the field, looking at that piece, this is broken, bing, and coming up with that information and be able to get the order to the distributor, to the manufacturer, wherever it needed to go to get that piece back, whether it be an immediate need or a maintenance kind of, preventive maintenance kind of thing, is so huge. Because otherwise they have the book that's, sometimes multiple books, 6-inch thick books that they'd have to dive through. And how many people, it's not effective to do that. It just, your solution is so cool and how it does that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Damon. And really it comes down to having product information available for customers. So we solve it in that way. Yep. But, one of the biggest complaints for customers across any industry, any products that you sell, it's providing the product information when they need it. Yep. And we can all learn from that. Even me as a software, an owner of a software company, I need to be better at ensuring our product information is available for customers to buy. So you can use this, when we're thinking about solving friction problems, it's a good lesson for all of us.
Well, thank you, Chris. I'll tell you, anybody out there that's considering their entrepreneurial journey, if you're looking for a little experience, man, like look at what Chris did, look what Nelson's done. I just absolutely love, that's why we love doing these interviews week in, week out with folks, just for the inspiration, Chris. Nelson, I'm going to throw a word at you. I'm going to say the word resistance. When there's folks that you're dealing with in manufacturing, I'm not a young guy, I'm a Gen Xer, say there's some baby boomers out there. When you encounter folks, do you find resistance, or what are some of the pushback that you hear as far as making a digital transformation? Whether when you had your agency with manufacturing chats, what are some of the common culprits that you find with resistance?
Yeah, I mean, people are generally resistant to change, right? And, the more mature generation, because they've had success for a long time, stacked up decades in most cases, they're even more so resistant to change because they're successful already. They don't need to, right? There's not a driving force in most cases. So just a couple that I run into are, you know, we don't need to add live chat because people call our phone number or they fill out our form, right? And so from my perspective, I have to educate them on, well, you know, people have preferences, and live chat, you know, with real humans is a preference that some people have. That, guess what? Right now, by not offering that, those people that have that preference, they don't like to call, they don't like to fill out a form. You're missing opportunities. So it's an education process of helping them understand, you may not have the preference of using that method of communication. That doesn't mean everybody's like you. So that's one resistance. And then when I get a little bit more granular in my conversations with people, a big point of resistance is their preconceived notion that, oh my gosh, you have a human chat team. You know, it takes us 6 months to a year to train our people internally on how to get up to speed on our products and services and equipment and machinery, et cetera. And so I have to kind of break down that resistance by, you know, helping them understand that we're not trying to create a version of your people for the chat team. Our team is a top level, you know, qualification team, triage team. Our job is simply to acknowledge the visitor, find out who they are, where they are, top level what they need, and then let them know one of the experts will get back to them. So the script development process is literally under 20 minutes of their time for the implementation initially. So those are the two biggest resistance topics that come up regularly with my conversations with potential new customers.
And how do you, so you mentioned word education, one of our favorite words. And again, whether it's live chat, maybe it's other factions of digital, how do you help these people overcome this resistance?
Well, one of the ways is I say, look, it's going to take you less than 20 minutes to do it, and there's zero cost to do it for an entire month in your company. Right. So hopefully you believe marketing is testing. Right. This will be a really easy, no cost test. You get an entire month's worth of data. And then once you have the actual results, then
make a decision.
Decide. Yeah. So a 30-day free trial really helps. A lot of time people go, oh, it's kind of a no-brainer. There's no risk. Doesn't cost me anything.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, it has to align with one of their objectives has to be, you know, increasing quote requests for their distributors or their reps, right? Because if they're so busy where they can't keep up with production because they're booked out for the next, you know, 6 to 18 months, which does happen, then we are absolutely not a fit, because we're going to generate an increase in demand. And if they're already backed up and, you know, can't keep up with production, we don't want to make that situation worse. So if they are trying to grow and they do need more quote requests, it's an immediate 50 to 100% increase. So
nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Damon, what were you saying?
Well, I think that, you know, you hit the one thing that I love talking with people about at the beginning, because people look at me and think I'm one of them, right? The buyers are not like you. I mean, we said, honestly, executives sit in their office and they think that ship was gone decades ago, right? You really have to understand what your buyers are doing. And Chris said it well. They're on their phone. They want to do this when they feel like it. They don't want to have to wait for anybody. They want to get the information. They want to be able to decide if they're going to buy it. And being able to transition them, even like you're talking to Nelson, is so important with a live chat kind of situation. Is like, get them to the help. Even if it takes a little bit to get the response, someone talk to them.
Yep.
That's a huge thing.
Yep. And
it's just that removing the friction, but the buyers are not like the executives are usually talking to. They are the 20 something to 30 something person that wants to get this done in their way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to piggyback on that, you know, in those conversations, when the resistance comes up, I even tell people, I prefer a phone call. I like to pick up the phone and call. That's my communication preference. I don't even like to use chat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, candidly, when I tell them that, they're like, okay, me too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just think about how much people have been trained to use chat in their day-to-day workflow now. You have Slack, you have Teams, and those have largely replaced email for people as kind of the primary means of disseminating information in the day-to-day work. So like people would expect like to speak to a vendor if they could in a similar manner, if they can just kind of asynchronously ask something and then get a response asynchronously as well. I mean, it saves them time. It gets them done what they need to. Taking time to call someone is pretty disruptive for part of your day. Everyone is multitasking,
Yep.
and chat lends itself very well to having to multitask.
100%. And let me be a little contrarian on earlier part of this discussion as well. About 4 or 5 years ago, we saw a massive shift in the more mature audience, where people who were using our chat solution, the age didn't matter. And what we realized is, grandparents now have grandkids that do FaceTime and text message only. So grandparents got sucked into the digital world. They had to learn how to use these things, right? So much so that a lot of them were pushed into that preference, right? Because of their grandkids using these new communication technologies, text and FaceTime and all that stuff.
Yeah, phenomenal point. So, Matthew, as a matter of fact, we got a couple comments here. So, hey, we've got Skylar says, hey, Nelson, we've got Diane Byers in the house. She says, life and the way we navigate through it changes all the time. And those that understand this better understand their customers. Diane, thank you for the comment. Again, guys, drop us a note. Let us know you're out there. Connect with our dear friends on stage here. We've got Nelson Brutton. We've got Chris Harrington. We've got Matthew Chanella. And so we are going to be together on Friday at the Industrial Marketing Summit talking about how to help your customers create that frictionless buying experience. Matthew, from your perspective, B2B, you're a B2B lead gen extraordinaire expert. Anything that you want to piggyback on? Well, you did a little bit on Nelson, but as far as like social media or marketing, what are some things that you want to share as far as like kind of breaking down that resistance?
I think part of it is just understanding that however it is you're trying to reach your market in whatever channel you are, you should sort of have an understanding of like how those channels work. Like we run a lot of LinkedIn ads with clients, for instance, and if you actually looked at the LinkedIn ads data and how much of your spend went towards your phone, went towards the LinkedIn app, as opposed to desktop, you'd be absolutely floored. It's something like for every $7 of ad spend you have goes to the web app compared to $1 to the desktop. So when you think about wanting to run like a demo request or something like that, you're probably better served to actually using like a lead gen form, because asking people to click through and fill out a form is, something on a mobile experience would be pretty poor. And then the other thing is like thinking about how many form fields you want to ask for that will let you do an adequate follow-up. So a lot of it is just thinking about how are people coming to your website? How are people converting? What do the conversion paths look like? And then how are you building out like your whole follow-up experience? And like you're gonna have various conversion paths no matter what, whether you're using lead gen forms or whether you're gonna use your desktop form. And like how's your automation on the back end? How's it routing? What's the follow-up process look like? Do you have service level agreements with your sales teams? Do you have a dedicated person to route it to? Are you using a calendar link? Like there's all these sorts of like, you almost need to do a whole list of considerations for yourself when you have a form and like want to actually consider the follow-up experience just to make it very seamless for your buyer. So for me, it's all about like mapping that out, understanding where all the pitfalls lie, and then planning against it. And like it feels pretty simple, right? You fill out a form and someone's going to follow up with you. But there's all this orchestration, depending on the size of your company, that happens on the back end, that if one little thing breaks, you lose it, right? And then you have to do all this sort of like trial and error to get it back. So for me, it's about just understanding sort of where all those pitfalls lie, how easy you make follow-up look like, and then just how seamless you make actually when you can fill out a form, like, okay, now I actually want to talk to somebody. How easy or hard do you make that for me? And the harder you make it, the less inclined I am going to work for you, because all those things are suggestive to working with you as a company. I mean, this is a harbinger for your customer service. This is a harbinger for your sales rep. This is a harbinger for everything else about your company, is like that initial buying experience. It is literally the tip of the spear touch point of a relationship with your company. Don't screw it up and make it harder for every other link in your chain down your business.
Yeah, I tell you, such powerful advice. And I think the biggest challenge is accepting like people don't buy the way that we buy as individuals. Like you have to understand, Nelson, I feel like you're just hitting at home. Like we have to buy as our customers buy, not as we want to buy. Chris, let's go. We'll go around the horn one more time because I know, man, this is we don't want to give away all the secret sauce for Friday. You have to come to the Industrial Marketing Summit, right? I just like nobody. You don't have a choice. Like if you're out there listening to this, you have to come to Austin, come hang out with us. Nelson, we'll buy him barbecue. Just come to Austin. We'll buy you barbecue. You got to listen to our panel. There's going to be great speakers there. I could go. We've had Damon. We probably had a dozen. Megan, Dale, we've had Joe, Wendy, all sorts of the team has been on our show. And so you guys have to check it out. It's in Austin, Texas this week, starts on Wednesday. Chris, there's a little line. You mentioned niche down till it hurts. Another one of our favorite lines is how do we out teach the competition? I'll tell you, since you and I became fast friends, I really admire, I'm on your email list. I read all your emails every week. You have a podcast. You guys have really stepped up and dedicated yourself as just fierce educators to your customers. What was that pivot? What was that transition like? Just take us there.
Yeah, it's interesting because this isn't something we immediately recognized when we started our business. We thought we build a product and people are going to come. And in reality, and I know a lot of people make that mistake. We certainly made it. I can admit to that. What we didn't understand is how many people make up a buying process first. When you're going to sell a product, especially if you're selling a complex product or something to a complex industry in the B2B space, there are multiple decision makers, which is already meaning you have to be able to really meet the objections of multiple areas in order to really sell your product. And we found that the only way we were going to first get in front of our clients to have the opportunity to talk about how our solution, solves problems for them is through education. And we had to educate many different areas of the business in order for them to see us as a credible company who specializes in helping in certain areas. So once we realized we needed to educate, that's really what we set out to do. So we kind of changed our whole marketing to be providing education for free. And because so much about sales is timing of when a company in our world, right? And this is probably true for others, that there are a number of positive ROI projects that a manufacturing company or a distribution company could invest in. And it's really going to come down to which one is the priority for them right now. And your solution isn't always going to be the priority. But how can you be touching them enough that when your solution becomes the priority, they know and recognize you as somebody that can support them, and they immediately think about you. So we had to work hard to become that, so that when timing's right, they think of Gen Alpha and our Equip 360 solution. And it really has been the focus on education, attending speaking events, doing webinars, going on with great panelists like you guys to share our knowledge and our experience, and people resonate with that and they want to talk to you. And sales is really all about relationships, and relationships
Yep.
can happen in many ways, right? The human-to-human relationship, but often a lot more is happening without them ever talking to me. It's them going to our website and downloading information. It's watching videos and learning. It's hearing from Curt Anderson say, you should contact Gen Alpha for this activity, right? So it's all of that. And when we started investing in and turning our time there, we had deeper conversations and we shortened the sales cycle with our prospective clients, because now they've already been watching us. They've identified that timing, and now we're the company that they want to shortlist. We're one of the companies they want to shortlist with.
Yeah, that's all goes into the concept of like dark social, which you can call that what it is, but it is a thing. There's all these non-attributable touch points that happen in the buyer's journey, things that Google or your analytics platform or even your CRM are just never going to record. And there's the 95-5 rule, right? Like only 5% of your market is in market for whatever it is you sell at a given time, and the other 95% are sales cycles away from even considering it. And your primary job when you're messaging or marketing to that percentage is to simply get yourself in the consideration set when that time comes. And that means doing all of those value-based activities that you mentioned, Chris, so that, when they decide that they need something like Gen Alpha, you're at the very top of the short list, because most of the time, like if you're not even in that top 3 vendor short list, you're not even in the consideration set at all. You have absolutely no chance of being being chosen or being bought.
Yeah.
So good.
Thank you, Matthew.
So
That was like a couple drop the mic moments right
Yeah.
there, right, Chris? So that was fantastic. So again, like, a lot of, for us more seasoned folks, I think, Nelson, did you say more experienced, more seasoned, more mature, right? The
Sure.
polite way of saying us old guys, kind of used to doing things the same way. And like, people know, like how often, Damon, do we hear like, people know that we do this, or people know, like, man, let's just assume nobody knows a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's just assume people are starting at zero. So,
yeah. And Chris said it well. I mean, it is you. And this is, I think, what frustrates a lot of B2B marketing executives that are looking at B2B marketing. They don't understand that this is no different than going to and meeting somebody and walking the walk and taking the months it takes to get somebody to buy from you. I mean, I remember when we were selling molded product to large companies, right? You might work a year to get a sale, but once you're in, it's a pretty good deal, right? It works out and things happen. And for some reason, some executives think, well, I'm going to turn on the marketing and I'm going to have customers tomorrow. But this, like you said, Chris, first, and then Matthew talked about, you've got to get into the top of mind list first by creating that content that establishes you as someone they might want to do business with. And then when they get to that point, the 95-5, when they turn into the 5% that is actually in that buying circle, they're going to have heard of you already, because that's where they're going, to the people that they've heard of.
100%. And they'll verify you with people that they know. Like, hey, have you ever heard of Gen Alpha? If you worked with them before, what do you think? They're going to do all of their vetting of you way before they ever talk to your salesperson. And your salesperson's job is to just don't mess it up.
Yeah.
Right. They're doing their due diligence. Nelson, let's come to you, my friend. Again, just completely admire what you've done. I'm throwing a little curveball because we're not going super, super deep on all of our secret sauce for Friday. As an entrepreneur, what do you attribute your long-term success? Dude, you've been going at it for 20 plus years. What do you contribute? And don't be modest. Don't be humble. You're amongst friends. What do you attribute your success at Manufacturing Chats?
Absolute relentless follow-up. Relentless follow-up and relentless and respectful follow-up. I always like to say I'm professionally persistent. If you really believe that you have value to bring, you're not going to bother people by reminding them you exist. Right. And so consistent follow-up, showing up, when you say you're going to, and, putting follow-ups, 6 months out when you told somebody you're going to call them 6 months later, in a conversation, hey, check in with me in 6 months, and then do that, Right. So I'd say that relentless follow-up has been the key to success. Okay.
And then to dovetail on that, how about the product? Obviously, you can be a person of integrity. You can be that persistent, follow-up person, but you've got to deliver the goods. Like, you've really done a masterful job of creating a great, viable product. You're constantly testing it, improving it, tweaking it. Talk a little bit about the product side.
Yeah, I mean, we're not a perfect company by any stretch of the imagination, but, having done this for 20 years, we're pretty dialed in. We have a solution that is, we can have our chat team trained up and deployed in less than a week and a half for any company. Right. So we're quick to deploy. That 30-day free trial, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We know that, a high percentage of people that we do a test run for, they're going to convert into customers. And we know that when they're a customer, we have a 94% retention rate on our customers. So our solution works. Right. So it's just, That's the other component. And we continue to improve our solution in ways that, improve our client relationships. For example, with our client feedback. So, we develop the initial chat playbook, the script playbook, and we encourage our customers, hey, if you see any of these chats that come through, feel free to send the chat to us, give us feedback if we needed to ask additional questions or answer differently. Mm-hmm. One of the things recently that we learned that we needed to do is, hey, let's make sure all the teams hear that, not just the marketing and sales director that we're talking to implement the test, but let's make sure the parts and service and the technical teams, all the customer service teams, let's make sure, because they're going to get the chat conversations distributed to them via email, and they're going to read through the chat transcript. They need to be aware up front before the trial starts. Hey, you're going to start seeing these chat transcripts come through. If any of them come through to your department where you see an opportunity to improve that script, here's the email address you send it to, the marketing point of contact at your team. They're going to send it along to us. And then within 24 to 48 hours, the script playbook's going to be updated, and all 3 shifts of your 24/7 chat team are going to be trained on that new chat experience. Nice. So, really communicating the ease and the responsiveness of making those updates to the script playbook.
Right. Communication, man. Communication. So absolutely love it. So, all right, we're going to start taking it home. Matthew, it's going to be the second last question. My second last question for you. What kind of hair products are you using these days? But I'm just kidding. I'm serious. What hair? No, I'm kidding.
I bought something recently, and it seems to hold just fine.
Man, I don't. You know what, Chris? I don't know if I can be on. I can be on stage with Chris. I can be on stage with Nelson. I don't know if I can be on stage with Matthew. That might have an issue. We'll talk about it when we see each other.
I'll wear a hat. Okay, how about that?
You know what? No, dude. You like if I had that head of hair, I would never wear a hat. I'll wear a hat. I'll say so. Matthew, as we're taking things home here, how about give us a little tidbit. Why do people have to be in Austin? What are they missing out on this week?
Well, look, if you're a marketer in the industrial space, you probably work alone on an island or with one person that you're just sitting there rowing a canoe with all by yourself. Okay. So I just real talk. I was the only marketing person for a $30 million welding OEM in North America. I remember the feeling of having to rally 24 salespeople around the things I was doing and getting them excited about it. And it's a hell of a lot of work. So if you're looking, you need peers and you need network and you need people who understand your shoes, who can empathize with your challenges. And a place like this is going to give you that. It's going to give you people who know as much as you. It's going to give you people who know more than you. It's going to give you people who are on your journey right now. And it's going to give you people who have walked that path, who can help light the torch for you. So to me, it's about knowledge transfer at the end of the day and having people to lean on who can help you get where you need to be. And the reason why I think you need to be there is because you're probably not going to get a higher concentration of those individuals than you will at the Industrial Marketing Summit, where you'll have a lot of like-minded people.
Dude, drop the mic. My goodness, like who that wasn't even prepared. My goodness gracious, that was good.
I told you I've done these before.
Man, this ain't your first rodeo. So I cannot wait for Thursday. All right, rapid fire. I'm going around the horn one last time. Chris, I might ask you this before, but I'm going around rapid fire. Best business advice that you've ever received and you'd love to pass on. Best business advice that you've ever received and would love to pass on.
Don't deal in opinions, deal in facts. Everybody has an opinion. Facts are really where you focus your solutions. Sorry, too many out there. Just can't. Yeah.
Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. Chris, love it. Nelson, best business advice you've ever received and would love to pass along.
I think good advice is care, but don't care too much.
Ooh, dude, that's a great.
Even I can use that advice. Appreciate
that. Is a good one.
Where were you like 20 years ago for that one? So care, but don't care too much. All right. So, all right, Matthew, I'm coming at you with a different question. So, all right, Chris,
I knew my answer to that question.
right, let's your advice, and then I've got one last one, then we're going to close it out.
Mine was, if you work in marketing, know your numbers and work in dollars. Okay. Know like your cost per lead, your cost per op, your customer acquisition cost, know your unit economics, learn how to work in numbers.
My goodness, man, dude, like that was all three of you priceless. Thank you.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
I feel like
So
I
good.
asked you this before. Chris, I feel like I asked you this, and this is my signature question. So I got to ask Matthew because it's his first rodeo here with us. Matthew, I know you're in Maryland. Are you a baseball fan?
I am.
And are you Nationals, Orioles? What?
I'm a DC area guy, so I'm Nats, I'm Redskins, I'm Wizards, I'm DC.
All about the all right. So
There we go.
2018, was it 18 that you guys won the World Series? When did you guys win the World Series? 18, 19, something like that? 19. Okay, so let's go here. It's a bottom of the ninth. The Nationals are playing the dreaded Mets. Okay, bottom of the ninth. There's a guy on second base. Tie score, 2 outs. Guy in second base. The manager turns on the bench, says, "Hey, Chanela, grab your helmet, grab your bat, get up to the plate, and hit in the winning run." Okay, you with me?
Yeah.
2 outs, guy in second. You're like we need you to be the hero, hit the winning run. As you're walking up to the plate to hitting the winning run, what's your walk-up song?
Oh man, what's my walk-up song? It's right now. It's probably "Squabble Up" by Kendrick Lamar.
There we go.
Great, thank you. Congratulations on playing. Nelson, I asked you that one, didn't I already? I
You
asked
did. You did. And interestingly enough, the night before I had a softball game and I hit the game-winning home
You hit
run.
that's right.
Nice.
Yes.
I forgot
Yeah,
about
walk-off.
that. I completely forgot you hit the winning home run when I asked you that in June.
I literally had the experience the night before. It was pretty awesome.
That's historical. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, thank you. How about Damon? How about a big round of applause for our panel here today for absolutely
Thank you
crushing
so
it.
much.
Nelson, I completely forgot about that. That's hysterical.
awesome.
So, all right, guys, do us a favor. Connect with Nelson. Connect with Matthew. Connect with our dear friend Chris on LinkedIn. Go to their websites. Check them out. Better yet, why don't you just come to the Industrial Marketing Summit? You can meet all three of them at one time in Austin, Texas. Damon, your closing thoughts. What do you think?
Oh, it's just great to be able to talk with you guys again, and really to be able to see the education about creating a frictionless or a less difficult buying process. Because I'm going to tell you, people listening to this, you should go ask someone else to look at your buying process, and they'll tell you really how much friction you have, and you'll be surprised.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, all right, guys, thank you. Hang out with us for 1 second. We will see you guys. We'll see you in Austin this week. If we don't see you there, I think you can catch it online, right? I think you can go to the Industrial
There is
Marketing
a digital
Summit.
one. Yep.
They have a digital version, so check it out, and they have amazing speakers. So we'll see you there. All right, guys, have a great week. God bless you, and we will see you soon.
See you, everyone.